right, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived for the opening ceremony of the G20 summit in Argentina. Mr. Modi spoke a short while ago at the meeting of the BRICS countries on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Buenos Aires. Now, these are live visuals coming to you from the venue of the summit, the 13th G20 summit being held in Argentina. And these are live visuals of Prime Minister Modi walking in to meet his host country's leader, Mauricio Macri, at the venue of the 13th G20 summit. And just to give you, the Wion viewer, a flavor of what's on agenda of the G20 summit, India hopes that terror financing will top the agenda and that the Financial Action Task Force, or the FATF, will be strengthened further as the issue of economic offenders is a major concern for all the countries of the world. All right, as we watch these live visuals now, let me go across to my colleague Siddhant Simbal, who is standing by in Buenos Aires as we speak. Siddhant, walk us through the agenda of the talks that are set to begin at the summit at the venue, actually.
Well, a very good evening, Ramesh, to you in New Delhi. But it's morning here, 10:30 a.m. and the G20 summit has started to begin. Actually, the leader has started to arrive. The Indian Prime Minister just arrived after his first engagement. That was the BRICS informal meet, in which he strongly raised the issue of terror, of radicalization, of strengthening FATF, and called on reforming the various bodies such as the United Nations Security Council. But focus from India's side will be on terror and economic offenders, something which the Indian Prime Minister has already raised at the BRICS informal meet that happened. And we also spoke to the Indian Sherpa here, Shakti Kanta Das, who had told Wion earlier that this will be a crucial and key issue. But other than that, it will be global geopolitics that will be the focus. We saw a hectic morning for the US President Donald Trump, who, along with the Canadian Prime Minister and the Mexican leadership, had a new deal and lauded the Canadian Prime Minister, saying he's my friend. Remember his squabbles with the Canadian Prime Minister at the G7. So clearly, Donald Trump is using this platform here in Buenos Aires for an image makeover, given the fact that he has been having a roller coaster year, whether it's meet with the North Korean leader in Singapore, whether squabbles at the G7, and now finally at G20. But he has cancelled his meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin over what has happened in Ukraine, with the Russians seizing 3 Ukrainian vessels. But he is going along with a working dinner with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. This is important given the fact that trade war is brewing between number 1 and number 2 world economy, something that impacts everyone, whether you are in New York or New Delhi. But today's G20 summit is something that the world will be watching carefully, because it's coming in the backdrop of trade wars, an increasingly fragile world. So clearly, a lot of things on the table when the leaders meet. The photo op takes place, the family photo takes place at 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we can expect some uncomfortable moment as the Turkish President Erdogan comes face to face with the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who he has been accusing, without taking names, for killing Khashoggi. And of course, that is something that whose shadow, the murder of Khashoggi, is something that is a crucial issue here. People, of course, discussing here, don't know whether the leaders will be discussing it, but the Russian president is going to discuss this with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Informal BRICS summit, which concluded just moments ago on the margins of the G20 summit happening in Argentina as we speak. I want to go across to my colleague Siddhant Simbal one more time. Siddhant, we spoke about the agenda of the summit in general, but when it's the G20 summit, what happens on the margins of the summit are equally important. Now, there are many bilaterals scheduled among all the various leaders present at the summit, but 2 key meetings stand out from India's perspective, and they're both trilaterals. One with Japan and the US, and the other with Russia and China, isn't it?
Well, yes, as you just mentioned, it's a diplomatic coup for the Indian Prime Minister, having 2 trilaterals with 2 diverse groups. On one side is Russia and China, another side is Japan and Washington. All 4 are perhaps against each other in some way or another, and India part of both a group, whether it's the RIC or whether it's Japan, America or India. I being the factor of stability, I standing for India. Clearly it shows India's growing stature, but it also shows that India has been able to manage ties with all the countries, whether it's its newfound friendship with Washington or whether it's its old friendship with Russia, or increasingly resetting ties with Beijing. The Indian Prime Minister will also be meeting the Chinese President Xi Jinping, an important bilateral that is taking place fourth time. As we have been saying, both the leaders are meeting, but both the trilaterals, important trilaterals, the Japan-India trilateral and US trilateral is pretty important. It's coming for the first time and coming in the backdrop of the Indo-Pacific concept gaining currency. Remember the Quad meet just 2 weeks ago in Singapore on the sidelines of the 13th East Asian Summit, and in the Quad is Australia, India, Japan and US, both at the joint secretary level as of now because of certain reservation by certain countries, but both keen to re-engage and have revived this Quad. And that is why this entire trilateral is pretty much very important. The trilateral takes place at 12 a.m. Indian Standard Time, and the focus will be Indo-Pacific, something that worries Beijing a lot, but that hasn't stopped Beijing from coming along with India and Russia for the RIC meet, and of course the BRICS informal meet shows that Beijing is also keen to engage with India. Perhaps it's the American pressure, but whatever it is, it also shows that all the parties involved, whether it's Moscow, Beijing, Tokyo or Washington, all are keen to engage with New Delhi so that it helps them also, and of course it shows India's stature at the world platform, at the world high table.
Now, while on the subject of air travel, international travelers flying out of Atlanta in the United States now can check in using facial recognition instead of showing their passports. The technique was tested on several flights before it completely rolls out on Saturday. The project is a collaboration between Delta Airlines and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency. The project was announced earlier this year and was available on select flights since mid-October. The main aim of the project is to make the airport convenient and less of a hassle by eliminating the need for travelers to pull out their passports or boarding passes. An official says that the use of facial recognition will save an average of 2 seconds per passenger and nearly 9 minutes of boarding time.
It's thrilling. It's thrilling that Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson has been selected to install, in partnership with Delta, to have this technology at this airport, which is the world's busiest airport, which this will actually expedite the processing of the passengers and the customers here at Hartsfield-Jackson. It is leading the way forward that Hartsfield-Jackson always does.
So this is facial biometrics. So the CBP has a database with passport pictures. So we go through and verify our manifest for every flight today with passport data. This is no different than what we do today, but it's a database that uses facial recognition to do that.
European Council President Donald Tusk has warned the United Kingdom will have to cancel Brexit altogether if the British Parliament rejects Prime Minister Theresa May's deal. Tusk says that the European Union is prepared for every scenario. The European Union said that the UK will have to leave the European Union without a deal or no Brexit at all. Tusk asserted that the May's deal is the only possible agreement. This comes amid speculations that UK Prime Minister Theresa May would renegotiate the package as she tries to convince the Parliament to accept the deal.
Principles will fully preserve the rights of UK and Irish nationals.
The European Union has just agreed an orderly divorce with the United Kingdom. A few days before the vote in the House of Commons, it is becoming more and more clear that this deal is the best possible. In fact, the only possible one. If this deal is rejected in the Commons, we are left with, as was already stressed a few weeks ago by Prime Minister May, an alternative. No deal or no Brexit at all. I want to reassure you that the EU is prepared for every scenario.
The British lawmakers revealed that he was HIV positive during an emotional speech to the legislature. 32-year-old Lloyd Russell Moyle told fellow lawmakers ahead of the upcoming World AIDS Day that he had been diagnosed HIV positive when he was aged 22. Russell Moyle added that he chose the timing of his announcement to mark the 30th World AIDS Day on the 1st of December. His speech was met with rare applause. Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn called his speech brave and moving. Russell Moyle is the second lawmaker to disclose his HIV-positive status. A former Labour Cabinet Minister, Chris Smith, made the first revelation in the year 2005.
10 years since I became HIV positive. It has been a long journey from the fear of acceptance and today, hopefully, advocacy, knowing that my treatment keeps me healthy and protects any partner that I may have. I wanted to be able to stand here in this place and say to those that are living with HIV that their status does not define them, that we can be whoever we want to be, and to those who have not been tested, maybe because of out of fear, I say to you, it is better to live in knowledge than to die in fear.
Where we're getting live visuals of the meeting between the leaders of India and China. So as I mentioned, these are live visuals coming to you from the venue of the G20 summit in Buenos Aires, where Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is meeting China's President Xi Jinping as we speak. Remember, there are a host of bilateral schedules on the margins of the G20 summit. And remember, India and China will also be meeting a trilateral format along with Russia's President Vladimir Putin. All right, just to recap for the benefit of our viewers who might just be tuning in, these are live shots of the leaders walking in to the venue of the 13th G20 summit in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We just saw Prime Minister Modi walking up and shaking hands with the host country's President Mauricio Macri. And now we can see the visuals of the leader of China, Xi Jinping, meeting the host president.
De esta manera damos por finalizado el acto de salutación en carácter de apertura oficial del G20 Argentina.
All right, those were live visuals coming to you from Buenos Aires in Argentina, which is the host country of the 13th G20 summit this year. And the G20, as the name suggests, comprises almost 20 countries, including the European Union, whose officials are in attendance at the G20 summit. All right, I'm told these are live visuals of Prime Minister Modi's meeting with his Chinese leader, President Xi Jinping. Let's listen in.
और हमारे सहयोग के लिए कई नए आयाम भी खुले। अगले वर्ष इनफॉर्मल समिट के लिए हम आपका भारत में स्वागत के लिए बहुत ही उत्सुक हैं। एक्सेलेंसी, हमारी मुलाकातों द्वारा लीडर्स के स्तर पर हमारे द्विपक्षीय सहयोग का रिव्यू और इस संदर्भ में हमारे दिशा निर्देश मोमेंटम को बनाए रखने में सहायक है। हमने चिंगदाओ और जोहानिसबर्ग में इस प्रकार की 2 रिव्यू मुलाकातें की है। आज की मुलाकात अब तक हुई प्रगति की रिव्यू का और भविष्य में हमारे क्लोजर डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप को और अधिक मजबूत करने के लिए दिशा निर्देश देने के लिए इच्छुक हैं। मैं विशेष रूप से आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि समय की कठिनाइयों के बीच भी आपने समय निकाला और हम यहाँ हमारा मिलना संभव हुआ। तो फिर एक बार आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ।
All right, you were listening to India's Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, there in his meeting with China's President Xi Jinping on the margins of the 13th G20 summit in Argentina. Remember, India will be holding a series of meetings on the margins of the summit, including 2 trilaterals, one with the US and Japan, and the other with Russia and China.
के स्तर पर हमारे द्विपक्षीय सहयोग का रिव्यू और इस संदर्भ में हमारे दिशा निर्देश मोमेंटम को बनाए रखने में सहायक है। हमने चिंगदाओ और जोहानिसबर्ग में इस प्रकार की 2 रिव्यू मुलाकातें की है। आज की मुलाकात अब तक हुई प्रगति के रिव्यू का और भविष्य में हमारे क्लोजर डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप को और अधिक मजबूत करने के लिए दिशा निर्देश देने के लिए इच्छुक हैं। मैं विशेष रूप से आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि समय की कठिनाइयों के बीच भी आपने समय निकाला और हम यहाँ हमारा मिलना संभव हुआ। मैं फिर एक बार आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ। इनफॉर्मल समिट हमारे संबंधों में एक मील का पत्थर था। इससे हमारे एंगेजमेंट को नया मोमेंटम मिला और हमारे सहयोग के लिए कई नए आयाम भी खुले। अगले वर्ष इनफॉर्मल समिट के लिए हम आपका भारत में स्वागत के लिए बहुत ही उत्सुक हैं। एक्सेलेंसी, हमारी मुलाकातों द्वारा लीडर्स के स्तर पर हमारे द्विपक्षीय सहयोग का रिव्यू और इस संदर्भ में हमारे दिशा निर्देश मोमेंटम को बनाए रखने में सहायक है। हमने चिंगदाओ और जोहानिसबर्ग में इस प्रकार की 2 रिव्यू मुलाकातें की है। आज की मुलाकात अब तक हुई प्रगति के रिव्यू का और भविष्य में हमारे क्लोजर डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप को और अधिक मजबूत करने के लिए दिशा निर्देश देने के लिए इच्छुक हैं। मैं विशेष रूप से आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि समय की कठिनाइयों के बीच भी आपने समय निकाला और हम यहाँ हमारा मिलना संभव हुआ। मैं फिर एक बार आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ। इनफॉर्मल समिट हमारे संबंधों में एक मील का पत्थर था। इससे हमारे एंगेजमेंट को नया मोमेंटम मिला और हमारे सहयोग के लिए कई नए आयाम भी खुले।